Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Four Dipsticks Garage. I know some of you may not know where we came from or who we are or how the four of us got together. And basically, we wanted to just take one small episode and give you a little bit of background and also tell you where we've been for the past year. First of all, I'm going to start off with saying the four of us have been friends since the third grade. We've always been friends, stayed friends. We used to play around with cars. We've owned different cars, been in everything from hot rods to Jeeps to multiple different things. Motorcycles, we've ridden motorcycles together.
Not Brad.
Other than Brad. He's never ridden a motorcycle ever a day in his life. So we've been friends our whole entire lives. And this kind of got started with just kind of documenting what we did with Fancy, my C10. We started just documenting it, and it turned into what you now know as the Four Dipsticks Garage. So the last time you guys saw us, we were coming back, or we're leaving Cruising the Coast, right? So we got Fancy ready for Cruising the Coast, and we did Cruising the Coast, and then we got back, which was October of 2023. So we didn't have anything much planned for the end of 2023, other than maybe doing a couple of things to Fancy. So we never really got together, because another thing about us is we all live a pretty good distance apart. Brad, Barger, and myself, we're all in Alabama. Steven is in North Georgia. So we all live a good bit apart. So to get us all together sometimes is a struggle. Even getting us on a conference call can be...
We failed miserably.
Yeah, can be a struggle. So that's one of the reasons why some of our videos are spread apart. And sometimes you only see 1, 2, or 3 of us, but maybe not all 4. So that may give you a little bit of explanation of why the 4 of us aren't always together. But we wanted to also let you guys know what exactly happened at the end of 2023, which has caused us to not be able to make any videos pretty much, when you say up until this point. So which one of you guys want to start it off?
I was first.
Yeah. So during Cruising the Coast, obviously you spent a lot of time sitting in the car, a lot of time idling in traffic, and during the Cruising the Coast, especially in my old car, shifting gears and things, started having some issues with my lower back that I've had issues all a long time, and progressively got worse to where just before Christmas 2023, I had some back surgery that required 6 or 8 months before I really was back to where I am now. Really, not really. I can still do about everything I need to do now, but still some lifting is tough. But
and a new use for tongs.
and a new
I've waited 6
We
months.
won't get into that.
I waited 6 months to say that.
We won't get into that.
some hospital things are high tech. Some of them are extremely low tech.
If you ask in the comments, we'll tell you what you use the tongs for.
But you'll probably never eat salad from the elephant. So had back surgery, was down for a while, and even though I've been on the mend, crawling under cars and doing stuff has been kind of limited. We actually, Brent and I did a truck tour with Bryant.
The GM tailgate tour.
Tour. But I was still moving pretty slow, and we just kind of did a family thing with that. I had my family, he had his wife, and so we just kind of.
Sorry, we didn't make any videos on that.
Enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
There's been discussions about maybe doing it again next year, and
which we will film.
Yeah, and we're going to film. So anyway, so that leads up to Christmas Day. I am, mastering the art of the tongs, and
even Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Even Christmas Day.
Because you had the surgery when? November?
No, it was December.
Yeah, it was in December. Yeah.
Second week of December.
Second week of December.
Yeah, so full recovery mode then, and then so Christmas Day hits.
Yeah. So
we're talking back and forth on text, and then
this Christmas morning.
Christmas morning.
Yeah.
So on Christmas Day, we always have always reached out to each other. We always say, "Hey, Merry Christmas." Love you guys, this, that, and the other. We always reach out, at least touch base, Christmas Day. But like I said, we all have families. We all have our own things going on. me and Brent have actually always usually called each other on Christmas and tell each other when we were kids, and even going up to when we were adults, and told each other, "Hey, what'd you get for Christmas this year?" You know,
Yeah, every year.
what we got for Christmas. But so my family is me, my wife, and my 3 daughters. I have 3 girls. I have at the time, 17-year-old. My oldest birthday is the 29th of December. I'm telling you this because it'll be relevant here in a minute. So at the time, on Christmas Day, she was 17. My middle daughter was 13. And my youngest daughter is 9. It's still 9. She'll turn 10 in another month or so. On Christmas Day this past year, in 2023, it rained on and off all day, at least in Georgia. I think it did in Alabama too.
Yeah.
So it rained most of the day, or it had been raining, or it was raining. And we normally go through Gadsden to I-59 south to Birmingham. That's how we normally go. But we had plenty of time, and we weren't in a big hurry, and this, that, and the other. And my wife was making a joke, was like, well, let's go by Buc-ee's. So those of you that don't know, the Buc-ee's in Alabama is on, nearest to us is on I-20 in Leeds. So that's a different.
And I mean, you got to stop at
Brent.
Buc-ee's.
Oh, I did. Hey, I got a tagline, by the way. I need to hit Buc-ee's up with for a shirt. I got a shirt idea for him. So
the chicken sandwich is pretty good too. I just had it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the breast burrito was really good too. But anyway, so we were joking around this, that, and the other, and I told her, I told my wife, I said, well, if you want to go, we can go. It's up to you. She's like, well, I don't know if we want to. I want to go, kind of go out of the way. I'm in my pajamas. Like, yeah, but I mean, you got like long sleeve pajamas on, and nobody will care. Nobody will know. You got tennis shoes, and you can put them on, whatever. I was like, but it's up to you. But you need to, you got to tell me, because we were in Rome at the time. I was like, you got to tell me because I need to know which way I'm going. If I'm making the right here, if I'm going straight here, So she was like, well, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Buc-ee's. So we decided to go to Buc-ee's. So I'm telling you this because that's what put us on I-20. So Christmas morning at 11:30, we were on I-20 headed towards Birmingham. And just before the state line, I could literally see the Georgia State Welcome Center coming into Georgia on the left-hand side. We were in a very, very, very bad accident. There were 2 accidents in front of us that had stopped traffic, and traffic had backed up the hill because you crest a hill heading downhill going into Alabama. And as we crested the hill, the car in front of me, the truck in front of me, there was 3 or 4 cars in front of me, changed lanes. There's only 2 lanes there. Changed lanes. There was an SUV stopped in front of me. I changed lanes behind the truck that was in front of me. As I changed lanes, he changed lanes, or he went into the emergency lane on the right-hand side. When he did, I realized the reason why he did that was because there was an 18-wheeler stopped in the right-hand lane. I was already on the brakes, but I was sliding because it was so slick from the rain and everything else. The ABS never kicked in. Long story short, I ended up catching the back of the 18-wheeler with the right-hand front corner of the car. And we'll post pictures of the vehicle just so you can get an idea. You should see them here somewhere. So it caught the right front corner and literally just peeled it back. My wife was in the passenger seat. My oldest daughter was behind her. My youngest daughter was behind me, and my middle daughter was in the third seat in the back. It happened very, very quickly, obviously. I tried my best to do everything I could to keep from hitting the 18-wheeler, but I just didn't miss it. It's because I was trying to turn back left to get into the left-hand lane, so I couldn't go in the emergency lane or the runoff because there were already like 3 or 4 cars there. So my youngest daughter had a mild concussion from where her head hit the back of my seat. I had a torn ligament and fracture in my thumb from where I was holding the steering wheel. My middle daughter in the back had a fractured left humerus at the top of her humerus bone. She was in a sling for 2 months. My oldest daughter, who was behind my wife, had a severe concussion and a broken nose from where the roof rolled up and hit her in the face. She was asleep, so she doesn't remember anything of the wreck when it happened because she was asleep. She had a very bad concussion because in the accident, after the accident, she kept asking me where we were, what was going on, why were we in the car. She didn't realize it was Christmas, none of that. She also had because it peeled the whole right side of the car off, and it peeled up the door. So it merged my wife's front door and the back door were merged together and peeled up so that I could run around to the car and I could reach in and touch both my wife and my daughter without having to move a door or do anything. But when all that happened, there was a chunk of metal or something, part of the door, something caught her knee and tore I don't know, probably a 4-inch diameter or 5-inch diameter hole. And just took a chunk of her hamstring and top of part of her knee out. When the truck stopped, my youngest daughter was screaming. I looked over and I saw that the windshield was gone. I could reach up and do this and touch sky. I was getting rained on because there was no roof on my side. My wife's face was very bloody. And I told her, I asked her, I said, can you hear me? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, don't move. Don't open your eyes. Don't move. Because, I knew she probably had glass in her face. I just don't move. And so I got out of the car. I checked on my daughters. They were all talking to me. So I run around to the other side of the car. As I get to the other side of the car, I can see my wife, and she has a piece of the dash or something that's actually stuck in her face right here below her eye. Initially, I thought it was in her eye. So I kept talking to her. She never lost consciousness. She just kept answering me, yep, I'm here, yep, yep. I was like, well, just stay with me, stay with me. So it took me a second, maybe two, I don't know. As I looked, I realized that there is a string coming from her. She had a long sleeve
Pajama shirt
on. And I could see the string coming off of the shirt going down towards the running boards on the Yukon. As I see that, I look down and I see, sorry if this is graphic, but I see her arm laying there. Her right arm was tore off at the elbow and like right at it, just a hair below it. So seeing that, obviously I just, yelled out, babe, your arm. And then I started yelling because we were both in Boy Scouts growing up. I've been around CPR, first aid training classes for other jobs that I've had. And I guess it just somewhat kicked in that, and there was a lot of blood and there was a lot of damage to under her arm because essentially it wasn't a clean cut. Obviously it was, mangled metal. It just ripped and shredded her whole right side. So I yelled for a belt because I didn't have one on. I literally had on running like jogging pants. And somebody that was there had a belt. He handed me his like cloth belt. I used it to make a makeshift tourniquet under her arm to stop the bleeding. And then we waited. So paramedics got there. The police were there. Everybody, so once they got there and whatever, start taking care of her. I start taking care of my daughters. I'm not going to go into all that happened. There's a lot that happened and a lot of things that were really very interesting that happened in that course of that. But it was a very, very, very bad accident, and I did not know if I was going to lose my wife.
Sorry, bud.
So they could not life flight her because of the weather. So they had to get her. And they already had her. They'd gotten her out of the car. They had her in the ambulance. And they were waiting while they were trying to work on her and stabilize her because her blood pressure was very, 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 very low. And because it was so low, they couldn't give her any pain meds. So they were trying to get a life flight there. They couldn't get the life flight because of the weather. So they had to drive her down, turn around, pull a U-turn, and drive her all the way back from the state line to downtown Atlanta to Grady Hospital. They did stop on the way to Grady a couple of exits back to pick up the life flight crew who were going to be on the chopper. So it was a nurse and I think somebody else that were on it. So a life flight nurse got on the bus and was able to start her on, I think either blood or platelets or at least or something. But again, because her blood pressure was so low, she had to give her a central line and like drill or something, like she had to drill into her collarbone without pain meds. So she's going through all that. I am still at the rec site with my two youngest ones because they've taken my oldest daughter and they've driven her on into Alabama to Anniston, to Regional Medical Center in Anniston, because she was a trauma, but she wasn't a level 1 trauma like my wife. So they were the closest level trauma that she needed that wasn't, overrun or whatever because of Christmas. So in the midst of all this, the police are asking me about phone numbers. Who can I call? And I realized very quickly that I don't know anybody's phone number other than mine and my wife's. That's the only 2 numbers I know by heart, none of which did me any good. So once they got my wife out of the car, I found my phone and was able to start making phone calls. So I called my wife's mother who lives in Georgia. I called my mother in Alabama, let her know. She let my brother know, who was already on his way to her house to meet us there. And then I made some phone calls in Georgia to some close friends in Georgia. And I texted these guys. And I texted them because I couldn't talk to them. I knew I wouldn't be able to get it out because the conversations I already had were very difficult trying to verbalize what was going on to people in that mindset. So I texted them and I was like, I know, I don't ask this a lot. I know this is probably a weird text, but we were in a very bad accident. Please just pray. And I sent them a picture of the car just so they knew how bad it was. I'll remind you, this is Christmas Day, midday. All 3 of them, Brad couldn't, because obviously he was still late in bed, so I knew he wasn't, able to do anything. He couldn't leave the house, basically. But all 3 of them, these 2 especially, dropped their entire Christmas Day plans, got in the car, and he calls me and says, I'm on my way to Atlanta. Where am I going? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where they're taking everybody. I don't know, what's going. They're just now getting them out of the car and everything. But as soon as I know, I'll let you know. He said, fine. I'm on my way. I'm getting Barger and we're on our way. I said, okay. So I don't know, half hour or so goes by. I don't even remember. It's all a blur for me.
Yeah, probably about a half hour.
I think I finally called him back or he called me. And by then I knew where everybody was going. I said, okay, they're taking Kinsey to Anniston. He goes, you want me to go to Anniston? I said, no, my brother, because I already told my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, they were going to my mom's. They were dropping my niece and nephew off there, and they were going to Anniston to be with my oldest daughter because they took her to the hospital, and she went straight to surgery for her knee. So I just needed somebody there for when she came out. I told him, he goes, where am I going? I said, well, they're taking me and the 2 littles to a hospital back the way, one exit back from where that we had just passed in a little town called Bremen, Georgia. So I said, this is the name of it. He goes, okay, we'll meet you there. So we get back there. My mother-in-law was there. She had a friend bring her to the hospital there in Bremen. They checked my 2 little ones out. They x-rayed them. The staff there was phenomenal. Again, this is all on Christmas. So the staffs were all overworked already because it was a very busy Christmas day, unfortunately for them. And then most of them were on a smaller staff. So they checked them out. We were there for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. By the time we get ready to leave, these 2 get there, and Brent's wife, Amy, was behind him and Jason half an hour, maybe, if that.
Yeah, about half an hour behind us, so 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20, 30 minutes behind them in her Tahoe. So when she got there, we had just been all released. Because they didn't check me out.
We were pretty much walking out.
Yeah, we were walking out. So I loaded up with these 2. My 2 daughters got in the Tahoe, and my mother-in-law got in the Tahoe with Amy, and they followed. And so they took me back to my house, and Amy followed us. I had a good friend of ours here in Georgia that was at my house waiting on us for when we got back, because I knew I was going to have to just drop off the girls with her, make sure they were okay, and then I needed to get to Grady. So we did that, dropped the girls off. I think I didn't even change clothes.
Yeah.
I think I did change clothes. Yeah. I changed clothes, tried to, compose myself like best I could.
We made like a 30-minute pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then went to Grady.
Yeah, then we loaded up, and me, my mother-in-law, Brent, Jason, and Amy, Brent's wife, we all went in 2 different vehicles to Grady. My wife was in. I'm gonna try to cut this down. This story's a lot longer. And I don't know. I may make a whole video of it on my channel at some point. I have another channel that I just do for me or whatever. I may do that. I don't know. But anyway, long story short, my wife is here. She did lose her arm. She's fighting like hell, getting better every day, and she's probably the strongest person I know. I'll give you a breakdown the best I can remember of all her injuries. She had a complete orbital blowout, is what they call it, of her right eye. So it broke all the bones around her eye. She had the piece of the dash stuck in her eye, just below her eye, and was sticking out. So there was a suture there, and all the broken bones in her face. She broke a bunch of teeth. She had nine broken ribs on the right side, fractured pelvis, I think on both sides. She was sitting with her right leg up under her like this, and it's the only thing that saved this leg because all of the dash and the
glove box,
and the engine compartment was in her was up against her knee. It took a huge chunk out of her knee as well, like my daughter's. So she has a huge chunk missing out of the right side of her knee. We call it her shark bite. She broke her femur in her right leg, the tibia and fibia both in her right leg, shattered her right ankle and foot, left ankle and foot, left tibia, fractured her C4.
Pelvis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pelvis. She broke on both sides. Fractures, pelvic fractures on both sides.
We should have done a spreadsheet on that.
Yeah, no.
I should have done a spreadsheet.
The list was long.
Yes, it was long. And it was very extensive. She was in ICU for a week on the nose for 7 days. Then she was in a surgical unit, a step-down unit for another 2 weeks. But she was home by January 16th, the day after Martin Luther King. I'll always forget that because we had to wait till the next day because we couldn't get the bed and chair and stuff delivered to the house until the day after.
Yeah.
So it was on that Tuesday. So it's been a long recovery process for everybody. And I've been having to do, triple and quadruple duties. I have to take everybody to doctor's appointments, to PT appointments. And I had to go back to work. I only had so much time that I was able to take off without, I could take an FMLA, but I wouldn't have got paid for it, and that didn't do me any good because then I would have been out of my house and in the streets. So I just go back to work, I think, by like the 20-something of January.
Yeah.
And I work nights is the only thing that's made this work and doable. And I have amazing friends to help. So we're much better. We're whole as we can be. We still do, my wife is driving, some, not much. She still has a lot of issues with driving or just being in the car. It makes her very nervous, obviously, and rightfully so. She has a lot of anxiety over that now, but she's getting better every day. My oldest daughter is good. She's walking. She's got no damage, no permanent damage. She has a massive scar across her knee from where they had to do the surgery and clean it all up, and then they kind of had to pull skin over to cover up all the area they had to clean up. But she's already been through PT and graduated from PT and stuff, so she's doing great. My two little ones are doing great. They're all healed up and no long-term traumas from that. My wife, I'll take prayers every day for her. She still deals with a lot of pain in her arm that's not there. Some phantom pain, some just sheer nerve pain. But that, in a nutshell, is one of the main reasons why we haven't had anything or put anything out or done any videoing for the last 7 months at least, I guess. There'll be 7 months.
Well, it's been
seven months. July 25th was 7 months to the day of that.
Well, we're back, baby.
Yeah, we're back.
That's the important thing. We're back.
I talked to her and asked her about here today that we're shooting. We got a video coming for you guys that we hope you're going to enjoy. We're having a blast doing it. It's going to be a couple of parts to it, probably. I'd imagine at least 2 parts, if not 3.
Yeah, it's a little surprise. A little surprise for you.
Surprise coming. But we thank you guys. Hopefully you'll stick around. Hopefully you'll watch these videos and stick around with us and hang out with us.
We got lots of things coming. We got this little surprise for you. We got C10 Nationals. We'll be at C10 Nationals on October the 4th and 5th.
We talked about doing some stuff on. We got a car. We got a couple cars we haven't even showed you yet.
Yeah, we got cars you haven't
We
seen.
got a garage full.
We need to do some work on
We got
my
Ruby.
truck.
I
Yeah.
think we should do a segment. It's like garage revamps. I'm just saying. I'm not.
I'm not cleaning your
No.
garage for you, Jay.
This ain't the Catholic Miracle Network.
Yeah, right.
We can practice with Stevens. How about that?
But we do
There's no cars in mine. It's just junk.
we do have some things coming for you, and we're gonna be doing some different things. I think we're going to be doing car stuff. We're going to be doing some things with that. We got more stuff coming on my truck. We got Brad's car. We got Jay's Tahoe that needs an LS put in it. We got Steven's OBS, Tahoes.
OBS.
But we're also going to be doing shows. We are going to go to C10 Nationals, like I said. We're going to be filming that, the trip up there, and while we're there, showing you guys some trucks. We also plan to do the GM tailgate tour, which if you guys have a GM truck, man, that is something you need to check out. We had a blast. And this year, coming up next year, I'm sorry.
It's March.
Yeah, in March of 25. Yeah, March of 25. We're going to try to do that, which will go across North Carolina from Sevierville, across North Carolina, and end in Myrtle Beach. So we're going to be on that, should be on that, and we're going to do some of those type things for you too. But like I said, we all live a good bit apart. So sometimes you may only see one or two of us, three of us.
Yeah.
It may not always be the four of us. But we try to get together and do as much as we can all together. So like Steven said, we appreciate you hanging out and doing this stuff with us. And we're sorry that we missed so much time, but as you can tell, we've had a little bit of stuff going on.
Life
So,
happened.
Yeah, life happened. So, but we're back.
We're gonna talk about him being in the pen.
No, we don't need to talk about that.
I'm not supposed to be out.
Not supposed to be out of the pen or out to everybody. Yeah. Probably both. But hey, we appreciate it, guys, and look forward to upcoming videos because, like we said, we do have a little surprise for you, and maybe there's a little teaser video coming after this.
See you soon. See you guys.